Welcome to episode 115 of Formidable Opponents, a show that pits three people who have known each other virtually their entire lives in a series of conversations as we argue what is best in a variety of fun, engaging, and critical pop culture topics we all debate about. I'm Randall, and with me as always, Bob and Joseph. And this week's topic is best dance scene in a movie. We're fans of movies, but we're also fans of music, and we're fans of watching other people dancing. Just look at our ATM receipts from 15 years ago. On this episode, however, we'll be revisiting the iconic routines, the mesmerizing moves, and the stories of some of the best dance scenes in movie history. Think of all the enjoyable dance scenes you've watched in movies. I'm talking about the good ones, not the ones where middle-aged Caucasian women open up a wine bottle in the kitchen and shimmy around the island countertop. Today, we're going to talk about those moments when the music swells, the characters lock eyes, and suddenly movie magic occurs. Because nothing says character growth like a good old-fashioned dance scene, or better yet, a dance montage. You're telling me John Travolta's In Memoriam Oscar clip is going to be him awkwardly traversing the sci-fi realm in Battlefield Earth? No, we are going to see him dancing because those were his most memorable scenes. Just please spare us the dance aerobic scene in Perfect. Not a fan of the shorts.
Fuck yeah, I want to watch that one.
Yes, dance scenes may not always make sense or even advance the plot, but they are entertaining as all hell. Bust out your dancing shoes for this week. Formidable Opponents debates and discusses best dance scene. With me, as always, are two guys from a small town who just want to find an empty warehouse to express their emotions. Bob and Joseph, how are you guys doing?
By the way, Kevin Bacon can't dance for shit. I'm just going to start off by saying, let's start off on that note today, folks. Let's piss everybody off.
Not among my honorable mentions.
Wow. Yeah. And by the way, Jamie Lee Curtis is freaking amazing in that show.
That's the best dance she's ever looked. I mean, she's looked amazing. Still does, but
what's hilarious is John Travolta's a dancer, and even he's like, my fucking hips don't do that. Jesus Christ, she'd never looked hotter.
That end credit scene. Oh my! I won't go too much into detail, but I mean, it helped me out a lot in life. Anyway, how are you guys doing?
I'm fine. I was gonna say the only thing I use that for is when because I'm old and I need to like stretch my
your
hips, and so in the morning you just stand there by yourself and you do that little John Travolta routine, so just to get your hip movement going.
In the mirror, though? In the mirror? You're doing that in the mirror?
Stand there. That's all you gotta do is just stand there.
I think that's more for stretching your balls, judging by what he was using it for. But yes.
How do you stretch those?
Carefully.
Well, at this point, we got to do it carefully, because if we bump into something, bump into your thigh, you're in trouble.
So, guys, an exciting topic today. Let's start off with the questions. What makes a particular dance scene stand out to you as one of the best in cinematic history?
Oh, dude, it's got to be unique. It's got to stand out. It's got to be something that's memorable. I mean, there's so many different, going back to the old musicals and Gene Kelly and Dancing in the Rain, and then now you have something as crazy as, I don't know, like Napoleon Dynamite, which is a great, funny, hilarious movie. That dance scene is one of the most memorable of the damn movie. I think it has to stand out. I think it has to be something that people talk about after the movie, not just something that might not be in the plot, and not like freaking Kevin Bacon and Footloose, but it'd be, just a standalone scene that just really, has people talking and laughing or like appreciating the moves, like Jamie Lee Curtis. Yeah.
Obviously, it has to be memorable. I think music goes a long way in this too, as well. I think it's more of if it made you laugh. I mean, I know there's a lot of really good scenes.
So you didn't pick La La Land, is what you're saying?
No, I know there's a lot of good choreographed danced scenes in a lot of movies, and if they work perfectly together with the music, so that's why I think music goes a long way with it. It's just as important as the actual moves themselves.
Joseph, two takes. What about Buffalo Bill in Silence of the Lambs? Did that make your honorable mention? Or Michael Douglas looking at Sharon Stone?
I mean, you do think
you do remember it. Would you do me? I do me.
You remember that scene. You remember
erosion on his skin.
I think you guys hit a lot of points. I think song selection is key, as you mentioned, Joseph. Iconic, memorable music has to be a part of the scene, because the song, no matter where you listen to it, should immediately connect you back to that scene. I think integration with the storyline Does it advance the plot? You can't just dance if you want to. Shout out to Men Without
You
Heads.
leave your friends behind.
Good choreography that actors are dancing to, not the cutaway to a stunt dancer like Kevin Bacon in Footloose. I think Kevin Bacon snapped his fingers and the other guy did the whole gymnast routine for him. And of course, he just took off his shirt and threw himself to the pallets, right? Cultural significance. It has to capture an era and leave a legacy for the time period. And lastly, as you guys both mentioned, it has to be entertaining. I think those are the qualities of it. From the scenes you watched, guys, was there anyone you saw and thought this person has no business doing that dancing?
Most of them.
Anybody in particular?
No. Oh, you know what? I was going to talk about Animal House where they're all dancing to Shout, right?
Yeah.
That big
scene.
toga dance scene.
Yeah.
Great fucking scene. One of my honorable mentions. All the white people in that. I'm just kidding.
Otis, my man.
Otis, and he was like, what the fuck? Yeah, so none of them could dance. But you know what? It makes the scene funny because that's like a college, toga party, a funny scene because most of us can't dance for shit, then you throw alcohol into the mix and it's funny, it's relatable. So I think that, that'd be a great example.
Pretty much everything that I did see or that I, looked at or read about was either one purposely done for the effect of making you laugh for the movie, or they had some incredibly choreographed stuff, and that's it is what it is. They were good looking people doing great dance scenes that were for the movie. So no, I didn't. Everything that I saw was for a reason. So it wasn't like anybody was actually like, no, that guy can't fucking dance for shit. They had to do it. They had to look like, I don't know if they can dance personally, but it was for the movie. So no, I didn't really see anything.
What was the reason behind Tom Cruise dancing in his chones and Risky Business?
That's memorable.
Director.
You got to see Randall, folks. His eyebrows reach the top of his forehead. Memorable.
Bob,
Whitey's baby.
I was thinking about Animal House. I think the Louie dance was fun too after the pledges. Yeah. They're just slamming into each other in front of the jukebox. Like just, pouring.
Flounder. Why flounder? Why not? It's a fucking funny scene. That's a funny movie.
I think the person that had no business doing this particular dancing was Julia Stiles in Save the Last Dance. I love how her co-star and the judges were like, holy shit, this is so fresh and innovative. Give her that entry to Juilliard. Sean Patrick Thomas's nods on the side of the stage. That's the best acting he's ever done. But her dead eyes, she has all the soul and passion of someone that's about to be executed by lethal injection. Obviously, she had a stunt double, a lot of camera movement, very bland. But Julia Stiles did a parody recently on SNL about this dance. So she's a good sport, but horrible dancing. Have you guys watched? And
this is why men shouldn't watch chick flicks, folks. You get these kind of reactions. Honest, mean reaction.
Very judgmental, yes.
Yeah. I've never seen that
I
movie.
could have thrust my hips better than that.
I've seen obviously like clips of it, and I think with her it's because, and this isn't a knock against her, I think she's a beautiful woman. She just kind of has a upset or angry look, which I still for some reason find attractive.
Sounds about right, Joseph.
Definitely. There's definitely nothing wrong with it, but she doesn't look like happy. Like in the clips that I saw. Yes, she doesn't look happy.
You smile, goddammit, smile. She go to Juilliard.
Never looked happy. So yeah, I guess okay, yeah. That now that I think about it, if I was gonna answer that question, yeah, because it just looks so
fresh,
not who she is.
Yes. Is John Travolta the GOAT of movie dance scenes? Or at least for our generation, would you say he's the GOAT?
Whose generation is this?
I guess let's just say
about my generation.
Let's just say from the 1970s on, is John Travolta the best?
I would have to say yes. I would have. Like what he did Saturday Night Fever. He even danced in Michael. Great. Pulp Fiction. Grease.
Yeah. Urban Cowboy. Yeah.
Urban Cowboy. Great movie. Didn't look good in a cowboy hat. Sorry. Doesn't have the head for it.
Pick the wrong girl, obviously. But.
Obviously.
What about you, Joseph?
He did so many of them. Like it was kind of his signature thing, and he's not a bad dancer. I know he doesn't, necessarily do that anymore. But yeah, you just named all the movies that he did have some
kind of dancing
because of what he did in early in his career, and those are great scenes. The particularly the dance scene in Pulp Fiction. I mean, it's great. I mean, so yeah, I guess I'd have to agree with that. Yeah.
I have a case against him when I talk about my selection, so I'll say no for right now and bookmark that. He benefits from decade era specific movies where he had to dance. Grease, Saturday Night Fever, Urban Cowboy, Pulp Fiction, Michael. I mean, go on. He's done it, right? He even dances in Look Who's Talking. He's all sportsmanship and he's great with the innate stuff, but technically, I'll tell you when who I think is the best.
He's got rhythm, Randall.
He definitely does, no doubt about it. He's an amazing dancer. And I had this question, guys. I'm going to spring on you. Do you guys have any embarrassing experiences with dance? We've kind of touched upon it in other episodes, but is there a dance experience where you felt like total embarrassment for you?
I'm sure I do. I'm sure I do. A lot of drinking, a lot of dancing after drinking, because that's the only way to be confident enough to be able to dance. Because we all know I can't dance for shit. But after some liquid courage, I can hold my own a little bit. But yeah, I'm sure there's embarrassing video or something from like a wedding or something out
Your
there.
own wedding.
That's yeah. What about the ostrich dance, Joseph?
That's not on video. No, I not that I can remember. I mean, if anything, I was drunk. That's obviously the thing. So that's the only reason why I would do.
Helps relax you before you get on the dance floor.
I guess Bob would know that more than anybody because he's probably seen me do something like this. But I guess
he sings more than a woman and spins around.
You know, we're not. Well, we can cut this maybe. Well, I don't know. People know about it. It's not anything we would release here. But my high school project that Bob helped me with, we had to dance.
Oh shit! Yes, we
together.
Had to dance.
Yes, do you remember that?
That was like the Blue Oyster all over again.
No.
Yeah. We in high school we did a cooking video and Spanish cooking video
in Spanish because it was for
Spanish class.
My class, and thankfully Bob and another one of our friends.
Joseph got an A, needless to say, but everybody saw us
yeah.
dancing around and acting like assholes, making a peanut butter and jelly sandwich in Spanish, and it was pretty funny, pretty epic though.
Not embarrassed by it at all. Everybody.
Yeah, I'm sure we have some stills, and we all dress like funny, like one of our buddies dressed like a cowboy. Joseph dressed with like an apron. I had like the cholo look, like it was for Spanish class, so we were trying to be funny. Yeah, we got a lot of looks and smiles and laughs for about a week after that video came out.
People we didn't even fucking know from class, from school, they were like, they knew who we were because they saw that damn video.
Let's let the audience know that we are Mexican American, so we're not.
That's why
two of us are.
We can do this. That's why
one of us is actually.
I think back in 2002, I took salsa lessons for about a month. My friend George convinced me, and he had just started taking salsa lessons, and he's a bigger guy. So I thought if he could do it, I can definitely do it. He also told me about all the beautiful women who took these lessons and took these classes. So the instructors were very frustrated with me, especially the female instructor. She would ask me, "Do you know where your left is, sir?" And she actually made me sit out a few moves in fear that whoever comes to observe the class, to take the class, would judge her instruction based on how I was doing and how I was dancing. So I stopped. I stopped after about a month. I don't regret it. My friend George, or Jorge as he goes by, continued, and now he teaches bachata worldwide, which is a Latin dance. So Google his name, folks. Jorge Elizondo. He's hooked up with more foreign women than Donald Trump because he dances worldwide. So good for you, George.
He's a real Mr. Worldwide.
So guys, let's go on with our honorable mentions. Bob, what do you have for your honorable mentions? Best dancing.
All right. I know we mentioned him before. We got to talk about Travolta and Pulp Fiction. Him and Uma Thurman, great scene. Napoleon Dynamite, great scene, funny scene. He steals the show. Terry Crews raving in White Chicks, one of the funniest fucking scenes of that movie, and that movie's really, really funny. Terry Crews is the man. I can just see. I saw that clip earlier today, and I was just dying laughing. The Deo scene in Beetlejuice, where they're all dancing around the table, fucking awesome, great dancing from that movie. Rand, you should know this. Poindexter smoking weed in Revenge of the Nerds and thrusting his hips a Thriller. That is a great fucking scene. That whole movie is
wow.
Yeah, exactly. That movie is so fucking hilarious, man. That scene too. Epic, epic, epic. Little Miss Sunshine, the family dancing at the end is super freak, and they're all like freaking out, like, what the fuck? What song did Grandpa choose? I thought that was a really funny scene and a great scene. I got to mention a sexy scene, the flash dance, pouring the water, pouring the water down, like that scene, epic scene, iconic scene, been replicated many times in movies and music videos. And yeah, man, those are my. And then of course I also had Animal House. We mentioned that earlier, dancing the shout. So those are my picks, buddy. What do you got, Ryan? I mean, what do you got, Joe? Sorry.
I also too do have, I mean, the Napoleon Dynamite assembly scene, whatever you want to call it. Napoleon doing his thing. I got I also have the dance off from White Chicks, where they're dancing to Tricky. The two groups of girls are going out and they start break dancing. The Grease National Bandstand dance scene, which is better than the end scene, but
I agree.
I know a lot of people mention the ending scene, but the bandstand scene, the whole thing, though, the whole contest.
But then they're tuxedos and shit like that.
Great scene. The whole thing. I do have the Beetlejuice dinner scene as well. You're right, man. Travolta was the GOAT. I also have Saturday Night Fever scene on here and the Pulp Fiction scene with Uma Thurman and something similar to that. Well, it's not similar, but same vibe. The Starsky and Hutch, Ben Stiller versus Dancing Rick. In Starsky and Hutch, I had that one too as well.
So for my honorable mentions for best dance scene, I had John Travolta and Uma Thurman in Pulp Fiction. That was actually my second choice. It's so iconic. John Travolta in Grease, the school dance scene, Born to Hand Jive, not the end scene. Joseph, you're 100%
Hand
correct.
what?
Hand Jive.
Oh, okay.
So
sorry.
I think he had better dance chemistry with the 45-year-old Cha-Cha than he did with Olivia Newton-John.
He did.
So,
he did. He did.
They looked better.
She had the skills to pay the bills. Yeah.
She's Latina. What do you want? So John Travolta's solo dance in Saturday Night Fever, another iconic scene. I had White Nights, the tap dance scene with Mikhail Baryshnikov and Gregory Hines, both professional dancers, so that kind of gives them the advantage. Michael Madsen in Reservoir Dogs, stuck in the middle with you. I thought that was a funny scene.
That was a great scene, man.
One that I think you guys would agree with, Christopher Walken and Tia Carrere in Wayne's World 2. How slick was Christopher Walken in that scene?
He's fucking awesome. He could do everything. He can play the guitar. He could dance. He would steal your girl, Mr. Steal Your Girl. He was amazing.
I thought for a minute there, I thought you were going to say the Fatboy Slim video. I was saying, no, that was a music video. You kidding? It was really great.
Can't get enough of your love, Bad Company, right? He puts her on his lap and then he points to her boyfriend. What a fucking amazing.
You're like, you motherfucker.
Gene Kelly singing in the rain. He's pulling double duty by singing and risking pneumonia. So excellent scene.
You can't get that from dancing in the rain. Settle down.
Speaking of old movies, we have a 92-year-old listener in Philadelphia, in the Philadelphia area, named Jenna from the Did Not Need to Know podcast, who wanted us to mention the Make 'em Laugh scene with Donald O'Connor. I joked with her that I would try to shout this pick loud enough so people who know this scene can hear it over their breathing ventilators. But seriously, this is an impressive dance scene. I mean, the physical stunts, it looked like a Looney Tunes cartoon. This guy is amazing, Donald O'Connor. So good call, Jenna. Napoleon Dynamite, the final scene. And my son has hair like Napoleon, so I'm trying to convince him to dress like it for Halloween.
I'm going to buy him a Vote for Pedro shirt now.
My dad loved this movie. It was one of the last movies I remember him enjoying, and all he ever liked were Samuel L. Jackson movies. So for him to crack up and love Napoleon Dynamite, that movie has a special place in my heart. The broom dancing in Breakin'. Never in my life did I think I would utter the phrase, "You won't believe what this guy can do alone with a broom."
Whoa.
So I had the Blues Brothers shake a tail feather scene with Ray Charles, West Side Story, the America scene, where half the Latinos were played by Italians. I mean, Rita Moreno's character would not let you have female friends on social media. Let me just put it that way. Flashdance, What a Feeling, the rain-soaked finale, and Step Up to the Streets. Not a fan of these movies, but that's a great dance scene. I got to admit it. And my wife suggested La La Land, Ryan Gosling and Emma Stone during A Lovely Night. She loves that scene, and it's an awesome throwback scene. She also mentioned several Magic Mike scenes and how they helped to move the plot forward. I asked, the plot or your regrets? So I don't know.
Something was moving.
Those are our honorable mentions, and we're going to go on to our selections. Bob, what do you got for us?
There's only one man and one scene in the history of movies that could create the greatest dance scene of all time. Jean-Claude Van fucking Damme. The boy can move. The 1989, the movie is Kickboxer. Not only did he want Tang Po, I want Tang Po. He wanted to show the world and all the chicks in Thailand what his hips could do. This scene is one of the most epic scenes of the movie. Now, Kickboxer in 89, Jean-Claude Van Damme is this big action star, movie star, and he's known for fight scenes, karate kicks, and not necessarily dance moves. Well, this movie has all of that. He goes to Thailand looking to avenge his brother in a kickboxing fight, and here comes this scene, drinking at an old shitty dive bar in Thailand, getting drunk, drinking, what was it called? The Kiss of Death shots. It's like, for Mexicans, that's mezcal with the little worm at the bottom of it. Van Damme answers the question that's on everybody's mind. Are you a good dancer? American dancing, disco? And what does every drunk guy say when they're asked to dance after drinking all night? Oh, dancing. Yeah, I'm good. So after saying all that, Van Damme gets up out of his chair, grabs the hand of a girl that's right next to him, and he starts dancing away. And the next 2 minutes show the world and every random chick in Thailand that this guy's got the skills to pay the bills, baby. His feet do more than just kicking people in the face. He's got the moves. He's got the skills. I laugh so much with this scene because it is a really, really funny scene, but seeing Van Damme out of his element, this karate action star getting up and dancing, you have to sit back and be like, what's the pinch about it? This fucking guy can dance, bro. He's got the skills. He's got the moves. It's pretty hilarious that he's there shaking his ass and doing the split. He even calls another girl over and he's dancing in between them. It's a great, great, great dancing, funny scene. Showed how well-rounded Jean-Claude Van Damme is in his acting skills, and that's saying a lot because he's an action star. It's a hilarious scene, and not only that, not only is he getting up and he's acting drunk and he's dancing away like nobody's watching. Other dudes in the bar get pissed off that he's dancing with their girls, and then he goes and he throws chingasos while dancing, which is extremely impressive altogether. He's dancing and doing this split and also throwing kicks and punching people in the face, which all kind of blends his action star superhero status. It's a really great scene, man. He's not a professional dancer by any means, but he is a professional fucking badass. He is the man in this movie, and especially because of this scene. And you mentioned breaking earlier, Randy, something about a broom. Funny story, Jean-Claude Van Damme could be seen in the background of a scene in Breaking, dancing in like a singlet.
Yes,
a wrestling scene, dancing and not giving a fuck. 1984 before. So that's pretty cool. And he's dancing the same way, doesn't give a shit, big smile on his face, shaking his ass, moving his hips, clapping his hands, typical white guy shit, but he does it in such an impressive way. This is one of why those guys try to hurt me. Exactly, because you're the Nuxu Cow, man. You're the greatest of all time. It's a great scene, man. The most memorable scene, besides sticking their hands in glass before the fight, most memorable scene of that movie, and he's the man, dude. It's the greatest dance scene of all time.
Yeah, speaking of breaking, not only was Jean-Claude Van Damme in that scene, so was Ice-T. And so what an unusual collection of individuals. Breaking's a classic movie, very 80s. If you guys want to check it out, we recommend it. So this
Randy does, I don't.
this
is talking about Electric Boogaloo.
I love Special K. She was my first crush. So I don't think you took this week's episode topic seriously, Bob. Are you serious with this pick, or did you want to select something not quite as ridiculous as the Blue Oyster Bar scenes in the Police Academy movies? I don't know.
Fucking scenes are hilarious. They stole the show. They're fucking funny.
So Jean-Claude Van Damme, yes, he's dancing with two white.
You know why I picked it? Just so I can hear you say Van Damme's name like that. That's why. People give me shit about it.
He's dancing with two Thai women, we assume. So I think we can all relate to Jean-Claude Van Damme in the way that when he's drunk, we all think we could dance, right? Just like Jean-Claude, we all think we could get out there and cut a rug. By the way, by the way, Van Damme, not known for his acting, but his interpretation of playing drunk, it's a new level of awful. I'll sway my head, make goofy faces. I mean, is this the worst portrayal of a drunk person in film? I think this was a terrible portrayal. I don't think he was believable at all. So the splits and the butt wiggle were hilarious. He's all elbows and ass in this dance scene. You don't even have a memorable song, Bob. We're presented with some sort of great value James Brown song, Feeling So Good Today. Was that
exactly?
Released? I don't see how you could pick this one other than it's a dance we can all actually do, minus the splits and the ass wiggle. I don't think we could do
Speak
that.
for yourself.
So, true story. A buddy of mine took me to my first club. I was 32 years old. No, he took me to my first club. He had gone to clubs for years since he was a teenager, and he told me he learned how to dance by watching this scene, and the ladies always complimented him on his moves. So lo and behold, I saw him on the dance floor. We went to this club, and he danced.
His exact same way, he clapped his hands and everything.
He did, yes, he danced just like Jean-Claude Van Damme, and he danced the whole night with attractive women. So there was a secret to this scene I cannot grasp. But if you dance like this,
Who says you need salsa and bachata lessons, baby? Watch Kickboxer.
I mean, I love a good fight scene, but insecurity shouldn't be a motive in an action movie to start a fight scene. Like this
He
guy
said
could
their
dance.
mother slept with mules. They're not good fighters, and their mother slept with mules. That's why
right.
they went to fight him.
That's right. That's true. That's true. Let me go and stab this guy because I'm jealous of his ass shake. So let's do that. That one guy that was going to put a knife on him for dancing. It's just crazy, right? It's a little over the top. So you have all these guys attacking him, and then one guy holds up a table and shouts, just get kicked in the water. Like, what was the point of holding the table? What was he going to do with that table? I don't know. So Jean-Claude Van Damme had this great run from 1988 to 1998. And I'm being very generous in saying his run ended with Knockoff because those last 2 or 3 years, kind of stretching it, right? But I love Jean-Claude Van Damme. I argued that
You are not Dracula. Please stop saying Van Damme. Jesus Christ.
Great fucking job. Thank you, Joseph.
That's location specific, that pronunciation, right? There's some people that live in Germany and Austria where's he from? Belgium? There's some people that
Yeah, but you don't say waffles that way either, Randall.
Waffles.
I argued that his 10 years at the top made him the best action hero of all time. I really do think so. I think he had a moment in the sun, and a lot of people, when you reflect on him,
He had a nice tan.
he had a nice tan. He had a great roundhouse kick. He had the Hollywood good looks, and he parlayed it to a guest spot on Friends where he attempted to tongue kiss Jennifer Aniston. I don't know if you heard of the story. He was kissing Jennifer Aniston, and she was like, "Why are you trying to stick your tongue into my mouth?" And because I'm Jean-Claude Van Damme, whatever. So great action hero, but not a great dancer, which is ironic because, Bob, we mentioned he was in breaking, so you assume he had some knowledge of dance. There's no choreography and rhythm to his dance. He's just your embarrassing uncle at your family wedding. I think the scene was added for comic relief, and it accomplished its goal. If you're looking for a funny break in an action movie, this was it. But dancing, best dancing, Joseph, what is your take?
By the way, he was in breaking because he could dance. They wouldn't allow anybody in there. It's like they're fucking street Juilliard, Randall.
I don't know. I don't think anybody's here answering that Jean-Claude is the best dancer. Bob's argument is it's the best dancing scene in a movie.
No.
Yes. I can see that. It's very okay. Let's say that. It has one thing going for it most of all. It's memorable. Why?
Yes.
Because it's funny. I think he was doing this on purpose. I don't think this is how he truly dances, because I did see his little the clip from Breaking, and that's better than this. So
He's wearing a fucking leotard though, or something like that.
So I mean, its purpose was, like you said, little bit break, and he's supposed to be a little bit drunk. The song, for it being, who sings the song? Did anybody know? We don't know.
It's the Diet Coke of James Brown.
I'm not gonna say I don't like the song. If I can find out who sings it, I might play it the next time we're at if we're in.
If James Brown was from Bangkok, that would be the song he made.
I would play it if we were in a place that has a touch tunes, if I can try and find it, so that everybody would be like, who the fuck put this song on? It's very funny. The dancing serves its purpose. It's like I said, it's memorable, so that has its thing going for it. It mixed in with a little bit of the the fighting, because he gets attacked, and he had to throw in his two splits. He's memorable. He's what he's known for, so he's got to at least throw in the splits, which he did. He kind of busts out of nowhere. You're like, what the fuck? I remember like suddenly he's down to the ground, like doing the pop up splits. At one point, the girls seem to I don't know if.
He danced better than the girls. Let me just say that. I need y'all to watch this.
Definitely shook his ass better. Yes.
I was about to say, it looked like at one point the girls didn't understand, like, to maybe go with it, because they were there's dancing a little too fast, and at least he's grooving with the song. So I was like, I do remember that. I was like, why?
Nobody's in rhythm. Nobody's in rhythm.
I mean, it's memorable. It's
He
funny.
was definitely in rhythm.
So it's not a terrible. Okay, if you're saying the dancing is terrible, dancing, okay, it might be terrible. It's not the best. It's he's doing what he's doing. Looks like he's having fun, but it's definitely funny. It definitely, we all talk about it to this day. We all kind of make fun of it. We love to send like memes of this or something, like when you say you're going out for one beer and 12 beers later.
It's definitely a meme or a gif. It's fucking funny.
It's definitely serves. It's definitely worthy of a selection and being on a list. I'm not gonna say it's obviously the best, but it's not the worst. It's funny.
I think this is the Singing in the Rain for ages 35 to 55-year-old degenerates. I just think that this scene is just so unnecessary, but we remember it because it has a special place in our heart, because the Van Damme movies were so incredibly fun to watch. So it's like, well, it's a little break from what he normally does, and he still kicks ass in the movie. But I'll give it to you, Bob. Is it memorable? Sure. Best dancing? Hey, that's for everybody else to decide, I guess.
I will get people on my side. Just watch.
The country of Thailand, maybe. But Joseph, what do you got for us?
I selected the dance-off scene actually from American Wedding. All right, listeners, take a second to think about it and remember it. Stop right here if you need to. Go find it on YouTube and then come back. And now remember how much you laughed and enjoyed this scene the first time you saw this movie. And exactly my point. That alone right there is worth the selection. It was funny. It was entertaining. It was unexpected. And it's memorable. We start out with the music selection. 5 extremely recognizable and perfect songs for the scene. Maniac by Michael Cimbello. Heaven is a Place on Earth by Belinda Carlisle. Sweet Dreams by the Eurythmics. Venus by Bananarama. And The Reflex by Duran Duran. Both Sean William Scott and Eric Allen Kramer, Stifler and Bear, respectively, commit to the scene perfectly. It's executed to perfection with the different music that plays. I did read that it was choreographed. There was a choreographer that was brought in to help with the moves. I mean, I don't think anybody expected Sean William Scott or Eric Allen to actually bust out. It would have been funny if they had just done it, on the fly, but it was perfect. It was fine. You get a choreographer to come in and do this. Ultimately, it was on the actors to perform, right? And not only was it entertaining, but to give it gave the scene a comedic purpose. And to that point, it succeeded. I always thought it was such a really, really funny scene. I used to joke with our good friend and an avid listener, Jesse, that I would do this dance routine with him at somebody's wedding if I was drunk enough to do so. None of us at the time were in the position to be getting married. We all just kind of just graduated high school. The movie came out in 2003. So it was a younger me had ambitions that older me does not wish to even to try try and reach. So that's out of the question. But anyway, yeah, easily the most memorable scene of the franchise. You hear these songs on your radio or whatnot, and you think back to this scene. It's iconic, like I said. And I always really liked how it ended up bringing everybody together in the end, because it was an important scene for the film. Jim's wife gets the dress made by the dressmaker that she wanted because of this dance. The boys had a bachelor party with strippers that were managed and provided by their new friend Bear. And he ends up helping get the wedding back on track at the end of the movie. You remember, everything goes to hell and Stifler kicks it into gear to get the wedding back on track, and he enlists the help of Bear. It was a great scene. It was a powerful scene. It brought everybody together. So, and I mean, the dances are very, very surprising. Like I said, I mean, when I remember when he first, like the scene first kicks off, and it's just kind of the silhouette of Sean William Scott, and you're hearing the song, and all of a sudden the light goes on and he turns around and Sam, you're like, oh shit, what the fuck's he doing? I didn't know what song was going to start playing. Maniac kicks in and he starts doing a little finger gun point. And you're like, what the fuck is going on? Everybody reacted perfectly for the scene. I know it's acting, but if you look at the reactions from everybody, it's perfect. I even loved I forgot at what point it was in the scene, but Bear was dancing to one of the songs, and you hear somebody in the crowd go, "Go big boy!" I was was like, oh, I love it. And he does it so, and he's like the guy who played Bear, Eric Allen, so like perfect. Like he committed to the whole thing. Long list of movie credits that guy has. But anyway, yeah, that was my selection. It's so memorable and iconic. Like it didn't come out on really any list, but I mean, how could it not, guys?
The Stifler Dance-Off in American Wedding, the American Pie franchise, minus the straight-to-DVD releases, they have a special place in our heart. I mean, they truly do, whether they were good or bad. The first one is unassailable. The next three, they were okay. And although the sequel sort of fell off, I was loyal to the main American Pie movies and watched all four in theaters. Kind of a dark horse selection because this scene had not crossed my mind in years, Joseph, but I was really entertained by watching it. I do remember it vividly, and I remember the audience in the theater they were laughing, and this scene got a great reaction. So it's kind of a dark horse pick. I think the two best scenes in this movie were this one and the interrupted bachelor party scene where Bear played Mr. Belvedere with
Mr. Belvedere.
How slimming is this?
Assless pants, yes, for no reason. So now the franchise has money, and they were able to use some classic 80s hits for this scene. I would say that this is the fourth best scene in the entire franchise. I'm talking about all four movies. I would put this number 4 behind the pie scene, behind the Nadia scene, and behind Finch's scene with Stifler's mom. By the way, Jennifer Coolidge was only 37 in the first Pie movie as Stifler's mom. Can you believe that? 37? I mean,
oh man,
this is incredible.
Didn't look 37.
1999. I was looking at the direct to DVD spinoffs of the American Pie franchise: Bandcamp, The Naked Mile, Beta House, The Book of Love, Girls Rules, which came out in 2020. They are still making American Pie movies in 2020. Unbelievable. I've never watched any of those, not even when Netflix started off with just a bunch of B movies. I've avoided those, but I mean, of course, the main franchise is where it's at, right? Anyway, yeah, some great memorable scenes, and of course, you had to add a dance-off, especially if you're on the third movie. It's part of the comedy blueprint, right? You got to have something funny and action-oriented. Sometimes dance scenes and comedies are thrown in because you don't have to worry about a situation unfolding or dialogue. It's just an easy pop, and many comedies use dance scenes just for that. But this scene was actually good. I got to give it credit. It played into the story, as you mentioned, Joseph, and not only was it funny, it was well done. And you got to give it up to the two actors, Eric Allen Kramer and Seann William Scott. Both not only danced well, and I'm sure this was a challenging scene to film for both of them, but they also kept their characters believable. Joseph, I was impressed with Eric Allen Kramer's agility at his age and his size. Yeah. I mean, he was moving around.
Yeah, athletic, man.
Yeah. I mean, when he did the QP kick when he was lying on the floor, it's hilarious. You know,
he's also and I actually read up on him too. He's because he's known for a lot of smaller roles. Yes. He has a long list of credits though, but he actually did fight coordinating for scenes. Like that's part of his resume. He's always had to
throw chingazos is what you're saying.
He's always had to like remain some kind of like athletic and whatnot. He's a tall dude. He's big guy, yeah. He's a big guy. That's, I mean, they call him, his name is Bear in the movie, but
shoot him.
Yeah, he's a very tall, very top heavy guy because broad, big shoulders, and he's moving around like it's and sliding on the floor and whatnot. It's perfect. He committed. I'm sorry, I interrupted.
Around. No, you're good. And I think the first time I remember seeing Eric Allen Kramer, and I could be wrong. If not, I'll edit this out. I'll do the research after. He played Thor in an Incredible Hulk TV movie. He played Thor. I mean, he has the blonde hair. He was already losing it by that American Pie movie, but that's where I first remember seeing him. So if Stifler's out of character, even for the moment, which is common, and it's common and easy to slip in a dance scene, the believability is completely lost. But he stayed in character, did Seann William Scott, and he was amazing in it. I think this was a fun scene to rewatch. I want to ask you both a question, guys. Seann William Scott looked to be the breakout star of the series. All the other American Pie actors and actresses, their careers are pretty much where I thought they'd be. Well, maybe not Mina Suvari. After American Beauty, I thought she'd have a bigger career, but she tailed off too. But Seann William Scott is a great comedic actor. Do you think he should have been a bigger star?
Yeah, for sure. I think everybody wanted him to play the Stifler character, and I think that's a character he couldn't get away from. Like, yeah, I'm sure you've all seen The Rundown with The Rock.
Yeah.
Funny little movie. Christopher Walken is on that one as well. He basically plays the same Stifler character in that movie. Like, he's got the same kind of mannerism, same kind of attitude, same kind of jokes. Like, I think that once he did that, he was kind of typecast into that one character, and that's all anybody wanted him to play.
I definitely, and I agree with Bob. What Bob said, he kind of got, and he did some other stuff too. Where what were those movies called? Goon, were the
Goon,
two hockey movies? It was, and he also what was it, Mr. Woodcock, with
with
Billy Bob Thornton.
Yeah, he screwed his mom.
He's kind of he plays I don't want to say a weaker or more I don't know. It was still similar. It was a variation of the Stifler character. I mean, him and Jason Biggs, right? Yeah. Jason Biggs were the in my opinion the stars of the movies. All of them. I know kind of the first one is
Ensemble,
based off of Rookie of the Year. What's his name?
Yeah, well, the kid, I can't remember his name. He's not a kid.
Thomas Ian.
Yeah, it's his whole thing. It's kind
Tom
of
Ian Nichols. Yeah,
him. He's the one that comes up with the plan. But I mean, it gets further and further away from it. Even by American Wedding, I don't even remember him coming out in American Wedding. He didn't come out in American Wedding.
I think he did. Yeah, I think it was Chris Klein that didn't come out.
Chris Klein
didn't come out.
Yeah.
Dude, Chris Klein is on some TV show right now where he's using a country accent. He's fucking terrible. It's like the worst acting accent in the world. My wife watches the show. I'll figure out what it is.
He's a doctor, right?
I don't know. I don't know what he does, but I know he has a shitty country accent. It's like a small town. He's terrible, dude. Yes. Terrible.
Heartland or some shit like that. Anyway, go ahead, Joseph.
By the third one, he's barely has any speaking scenes in the movie. It's mostly Jim, Stifler, and Finch. They're the three that like were the funniest of the movies. Like and so
they kind of stole the show in the second one too as well.
I wish he had. Yeah, I wish he had gotten he had more of a career. People, but they wanted him to do what he was. I guess what really got him famous.
I think going back to Sean William Scott, I think not all his post-Pie movies were great, but it looks like something was happening for him until about Goon, which was 2011. I thought he was great in The Rundown, as you mentioned, Bob. Role Models, I thought he was great. The great cameo in Old School as Peppers. He was funny there.
Yes.
I felt like he could have been
Dart, man.
I felt in your neck.
I felt like he could have been step for step with maybe like a Ryan Reynolds or Paul Rudd, maybe a step back, but right there, right? Like, whatever Ryan Reynolds and Paul Rudd didn't do would fall on Sean William Scott. It just hasn't happened, or it didn't happen. I have a funny story. The 2004 Super Bowl in Houston, Super Bowl 38, a few of my friends went to hang out in the city. They didn't buy tickets for the game, but they hung out in the city, and there were a ton of celebrities there. So a buddy of mine was at a urinal, and he tells me the guy next to him is Sean William Scott. And my buddy shouts, "Hey, you're Stifler." And Sean William Scott gives him like this fuck you look and just walks away. I mean, how would you like to go back as, he's Stifler his entire life? I mean, that must suck.
I wouldn't want some other guy talking to me either with his hand in his dick. Hey, you're Stifler. Fuck off, man. At least finish.
Imagine that's the praise you get in public. Hearing that you're chained to one character. I mean, He did it in 4 movies as Stifler. He played Stifler in 4 movies. So it brought him fame. It brought him money. But I'm sure it's got to bug him a little, and he's forever Stifler to many. But I think Sean William Scott got a little shortchanged. I think he's a talented, funny comedic actor. He's, good physical comedy, good timing in his comedy. I think he should have been a bigger star. But anyway, Bob, what do you think about this scene?
I think I agree with everything you said about Sean William Scott, except for the fact that he can't dance for shit. This movie was excellent and amazing because of the contrast between Eric Allen, who has some skills and can dance, and Stifler, Sean William Scott, who really can't dance, and he is stiff as hell in these dance scenes. Hilarious scene, most memorable scene of that movie. Yes, Joe, so I'll give you credit for that. But these guys even had a choreographer, and Sean William Scott couldn't dance for shit in this scene. So I think it's funny. Jean-Claude Van Damme gets shit, but he danced a hell of a lot better than Steve Stifler in their respective scenes. It's a great scene, funny scene, great music in the background. I like the mix of the songs. Again, Eric Allen, he's the man. He really does make the scene, and he's, over dramatic and great dancing, real smooth with his moves. Probably you said he's a choreographer for fight scenes, which means he obviously has great balance and great whatever. He can fucking dance. So I really do like this scene. It's one of the most, again, the pie, the Nadia scene where everybody's watching on their webcams is probably the most iconic scene from that franchise. But this one's up there, man. I like this one. It's extremely funny scene, great dance scene, very memorable.
That webcam scene just hasn't aged well.
Yeah.
It's just
fucking funny, man. Nothing's aged well, but it's funny. It's laughable because it's the comedy of the times. Like I can sit down and I can still watch Blazing Saddles, and it's fucking hilarious to me. But it's not. Yeah. It does just because it doesn't translate to now. You can't do that shit now, but. Then you could, you know what I mean? So, like, Revenge of the Nerds, we just talked about that one earlier. You can't fucking make that movie exactly how it was now, but for what it is and for that decade in the 80s, you could. And it's funny for it. You got to see it for what it was then, not what it is now.
By the way, Bob, Dom DeLuise, should he get an honorable mention for Blazing Saddles? He had a pretty good dance scene, right? So
yeah, hilarious, man.
We'll conclude with my selection for best dance scene in a movie, and I selected the final scene, the final dance scene in Dirty Dancing. I love how this movie takes place in 1963, but every song is from the 80s. I mean, it sounds like it belongs in the 80s, and they use the most 80s sounding song, Time of My Life, for the ending, but somehow it just works. Before I get to this scene, Patrick Swayze is hands down the best dancer in the modern era of movies. Quality over quantity over John Travolta.
Chris Farley outdanced him.
Yeah, he wasn't even better than Chris Farley. Let's settle down. So let's slow your roll.
Swayze trained in ballet as a kid and attended Harkness and the Joffrey Ballet Schools. He was a principal at Elliott Field Ballet Company. I mean, that's a pretty strong resume. He was a trained dancer and intended to become a professional dancer, but due to a knee injury, he gave up that path. He once said that he's actually a much better dancer than his character Johnny Castle was in Dirty Dancing. Swayze was smoking 2 packs a day by this time and still had the stamina to lift up Jennifer Grey. And he did some incredible things in this movie, because I don't think this movie is very good, but I think it's very memorable and it's very nostalgic because of what Patrick Swayze brought to the film. Dirty Dancing premiered at the Cannes Film Festival on May 12th, 1987, and was released on August 21st in the United States, earning over $214 million worldwide, $64 million in the U.S. and in Canada, and $150 million in other territories. It earned positive reviews from critics, who particularly praised the performances of Jennifer Grey and Patrick Swayze, the soundtrack created by Jimmy Leonard, and it generated 2 multi-platinum albums and multiple singles. This movie has a great production story about it. They talked about how Billy Zane was initially cast as the lead, but the producers loved Patrick Swayze. But on Patrick Swayze's resume, it stated no dancing because of his knee injury. Great story on how Jennifer Grey had a rough experience with Patrick Swayze on the set of Red Dawn, great movie, and essentially hated him. But you cannot deny that chemistry. They had to have slept with each other. I mean, you can't fake that shit. I mean, I don't know. It's just a great classic dancing scene. Nothing over the top, just 2 people moving as one. Throw in that slow motion jump.
Sorry.
Throw in that slow motion jump and Swayze taking shit over by shimming down the aisle. I mean, he's a much better dancer than Jennifer Grey, but I mean, he was incredible in this scene. This is a guy who 4 years later would be throwing a pit bull at Keanu Reeves in Point Break, and 2 years later would be ripping out some dude's throat in Roadhouse. So what a versatile actor. The Lift is iconic. It's been parodied to death. If we try to do that, there would be 2 spine fractures. I'm sorry, but there would be. Their chemistry was insane. I wish Jennifer Grey had kept her OG face. I thought she was very beautiful. When 2 people look at each other, like there's nobody else in the room, and they have a rhythm and a passion for each other, it's magic. And this was movie magic. And I've only watched this movie once in its entirety, but I've watched this scene many times. The one thing that sucks about this dance scene, and there is something that does suck. It's
in Mexico, there you go.
It sucks. It just sucks that every woman watches this and they look at Patrick Swayze, then they look at their husbands or boyfriends, and they think, man, fuck this guy. Look at this shithead with his panza hanging out of his t-shirt with chip crumbs on his chest, bobbing his head to the song. He can't even lift himself off the sofa, and he's smiling watching Patrick Swayze picking up Jennifer Grey. He can't even pick me up from the airport on time. But amazing scene. I think this is a classic, iconic dance scene. It's an iconic movie, but that dancing is just instant classic. It will forever go on. What do you think, guys?
First off, that scenario is not real because no real man that's married is watching Dirty Dancing and thinking, wow, look at how great Patrick Swayze is. Okay, Randall.
Speak for yourself. I love it.
And magic in their eyes. I know you mentioned magic in their eyes. He was like 40 and she was supposed to be like 15 in the movie. Let's settle down with all this magic and this love in the air. Why nobody puts baby in the corner? Yes, I can because I'm her father and she's only 15, goddammit. And you're like a 40-year-old that doesn't even have a job. You teach dance. Get the fuck out of here. That's not a real job.
30s and 20s. Let's get that right.
He was at least 40. He had one too many buttons unbuttoned during that scene, okay? His hair was beautiful, feathered, yes. I'll give you that. Patrick, hair was beautiful. But too many buttons unbuttoned for that thing, okay? Same argument again. Joseph's scene had a choreographer. Yours had a professional fucking dancer, and I'm sure a choreographer as well. Yes. We don't need professional dancing in a movie, Randall, in order to be a great dance scene. And that's where I think both your picks go wrong. You're choosing a professional like, Patrick Swayze could really dance. Well, no shit, he was a fucking professional ballet dancer at one point in his life. It's like saying, that pitcher could throw the ball fast. Well, no shit, okay? It does take it away. I think that does take away from something. It doesn't. The greatest dance scene. It's like saying, Gene Kelly. Well, yeah, fuck yeah, he was a professional dancer. Of course, he could dance in a movie. I think that if they weren't professional dancers and they had some flaws and it would be like a real love story of people like just wanting to dance together and trying their best. I think that'd be fantastic. But he was 40, she was 13, and there was too much. There was unprofessionalism with the professionalism in this damn movie. Okay, Joseph, what do you think about that? I know you love Patrick Swayze. Yes, we all do. Chris Farley did outdance his ass, though. I'm just gonna say that.
The guy who picked a drunk guy in Thailand as the best dance scene. Go on,
Joseph. Randall's never been to Thailand. He went to Fort Worth.
First off, I don't love Patrick Swayze. Anyway,
why would you not?
He's a good actor. Look, this is
Randall
obviously
just had the time of his life.
He did enjoying this movie. I think it's. Obviously, how is it not appear on lists or in discussions and whatnot? Of course, it's a memorable scene. I've heard the movie was good. I've never seen it before in my life. It's Patrick Swayze. He's so hot back then in the days, like he was so happening. He was everywhere. So of course people went to go see this.
Joseph remembers him from Ghost.
Ghost was a great movie.
Yeah.
I know this isn't the only like dance routine in the movie. But for a movie called Dirty Dancing, for this being your selection, there's nothing dirty about it. So let's slow it down there.
According to Bob,
he was 40 and she was 13.
It's very well, obviously, choreographed. I don't think that's a big issue. I don't think that's a big problem. I mean, with Van Damme, if they let him just go up there and move and do his own thing, cool, good. I mean, it was work for the movie. It was funny for my selection, for this selection, and pretty much for a lot of things that we selected in honorable mentions. They all had choreographs, probably. Do they flow? Does this dance routine flow perfectly with the song and the selection? Yes, it works. That's a characteristic of something that we talked about in the beginning. The music choice. I don't like the song, but hey, people do, and it goes perfectly together. So it has that going for it. It's memorable, obviously. I think I've said this already, but probably the most in sync or choreographed. They ended up they did work extremely well together for this scene, but I don't think that gives it the edge over everything else. So I mean, Swayze jumping off the stage. I don't know how old he was in this, but if I ever even attempted to try that, my knees are breaking as soon as I land on the ground.
You wear a knee brace, Joseph.
There's a little bit of a group aspect to it when other people get involved. So it's for the movie. I'm sorry, go ahead.
I say, what they don't show you is that the Italian father put out a mob hit for Patrick Swayze. He's shot and killed like Joe Pesci after the credits rolled.
As he's walking out. Yeah, man. I get it. I get the selection. I know a lot of people are going to say, and you can read up and down the user comments on YouTube and people, they mainly talk about, the loss of Patrick Swayze, which of course was a great loss for the film industry and him. But, a lot of people really, really did enjoy this. And this, they hear this song. Another thing I mentioned, you hear this song and you're instantly taken to this scene. So yeah, it works. It has that for it. It's definitely memorable. I don't think it's the best, but hey, it is what it is.
By the way, Patrick Swayze, 34 years old in this movie. Jennifer Grey, 26. So,
the characters, Randall, the characters. How old are the characters? She was still living with her parents in high school.
The thing that gets me for this, the description of it is the dance hall goes wild with a provocative dance led by Johnny in Dirty Dance. There was nothing very provocative about it, but I mean, so
this was the 60s. You couldn't grind like he was doing.
60s? Yeah, I don't see that. I see the 80s.
You're gonna grind on a 14-year-old. Give me a break.
I see the 80s in this.
I mean, the soundtrack was the 80s. Do you guys remember? Do you guys remember when Eli Manning and Odell Beckham Jr. parodied "The Lift" in a Super Bowl commercial?
I think I do. Yeah.
And Odell Beckham, like weeks later, said Eli Manning couldn't throw past 35 yards, and he wanted out of New York. So, I mean, this dance has broken up couples. So, I mean, great talk, guys. Let's talk a little bit about final thoughts on dance scenes. What are your final thoughts on dance scenes?
I think we looked more to these scenes to be funny. So I think a selection like mine is something that would probably, and anything similar to it is something that would be more, I don't know, appreciated. I don't care for that. I don't go watch movies like, the Step Ups, Step Up to the Streets, Step Up Over Me to the Streets, all those movies. There's purposes, group dancing and whatnot. That's what the film is about. There's usually competition at that. I don't go watch those movies. Those movies don't interest me. So if I'm going to see a dance scene in a movie, a comedy or something, I'm hoping it's funny. So I'm hoping to see more funny situation out of nowhere dance routines. There's no more movies like this, right? Dirty Dancing. Like, there's not going to be a movie where it's all about dancing. Do you know of any right now?
Step Up to the Streets 8, Joseph.
There's going to be more movies coming out about dancing. It's just it's a cash cow. People love to watch other people move and dance and do things that they cannot do.
Not to me, man. I don't know who the cash cow is, but I don't know. It's just not my kind of movie. It's not.
What are your thoughts, Bob?
I agree. Like when they use it for comedic relief, or just like to throw a wrench in the scene. Like I think that makes the scenes like hilarious. I think that's the best use of it, to be honest with you. Because I mean, for like a movie like La La Land, like great movie, won what Oscars, shit like that, a lot of awards. Great movie, great actresses and actor. I just not my kind of movie. Like I'm not gonna watch a dancing movie. I'm just not. It's not my thing. But if they were to throw it in, like you said, like Stifler dancing in American Wedding, I think that's hilarious. Super bad when the main character when he's dancing at the party and he gets the period blood in his leg. Like I think that's hilarious. Like those scenes are memorable. But I don't want to. Like, I can't see a dancing movie and be like, there's so many great, memorable dancing scenes. Like, I'd rather it be unexpected.
I think we'd be remiss if we didn't mention Ginger Rogers and Fred Astaire. Of course, they did a ton of great dance scenes in the movies. We mentioned a couple of classics, but of course, probably the best dance couple in the history of cinema. My final thoughts on dance scenes, I think they are a testament to the universal language of dance. Everybody understands dance. You don't have to. It translates all across the board, right? I remember watching and liking Slumdog Millionaire. It was nominated for awards. It won the Oscar for Best Picture and Best Director. It was critically acclaimed. But I don't remember many of the scenes, but I vividly remember the closing credits and the dance sequences when they did the Bollywood dance at the end. I thought it was fantastic. That goes to show you how powerful dance and music, how they both are. They stick to your head. People remember movement and how songs make you feel because you can reconcile your own personal memories as a tie-in with the song the scene uses. And it's just like we said before, if you hear some of these songs, it automatically transfers you back to the movie scene. And we talked about it earlier, how music selection, song choice is critical to a great dance scene because what you want to accomplish in the movie is that every time that song plays, you remember that scene. I mean, just like you mentioned, Bob, Risky Business, Old Time Rock and Roll. It's Tom Cruise. That's the first thing. You don't think of Bob Seger, even though he sang the song and is a great accomplished musician. You think of Tom Cruise sliding across the floor in his chones, drinking his parents' liquor or whatever, It is such an important thing. I really had a lot of fun talking about this, guys. Any final we have a few minutes. Final suggestions, thoughts, anything you'd like to recommend?
I recommend the Astros get off their ass and win a fucking game. That's what I would recommend. I'm excited. This week we have the Houston Texans are going to release their new uniforms, and then on Thursday's the NFL draft, so that's exciting. We're sports guys here, so it's exciting stuff, man. I love football, so that should be an exciting week.
I recently saw Roadhouse, the reboot remake,
reimagining, right?
The reimagining of Roadhouse. And let me say, obviously, I didn't go into it expecting the greatest thing. I wasn't disappointed that I didn't see the greatest thing. For a guy who I think is a good actor in Jake Gyllenhaal, he seems very, his character or whatever seemed very like, or his performance seemed very phoned in, aside from the fight scenes, which I think he choreographed fight scenes. Speaking of more choreography, they worked out good. I thought there was but he just seemed, he was real nonchalant with the whole thing. And the story is, it was obviously predictable, but it was what it was. I actually kind of do give Jesus Christ, Lucy. I'm so sorry. My dog is going crazy right now. Conor McGregor's obviously not an actor, but he didn't do a terrible job. I thought he played, when he wasn't doing the over the top stuff, when he was just playing a crazy psychotic, I don't want to call him an assassin, but just a muscle or whatnot, I thought he did a good job. There was actually a really good scene. I think I was telling Bob about it. Randy, do you have any intentions of watching this movie? I mean, it doesn't.
I do. I want to watch.
Don't ruin it, Joseph.
All right, fine. I won't ruin it.
I don't know if any throats are being ripped in this one.
No.
Yeah, I do want to watch this movie.
I will say this: I was disappointed with the choice in camera style that they did. Sometimes you'll probably will get pissed off at it too. So I'm just not gonna. You'll go ahead and watch it, and then you'll come back and tell me like what you didn't like about it, and I'll say, yep, that's what I thought. Hey, it's free. I pay for Amazon Prime, so it doesn't matter. Yeah, it's a free movie to watch. I had some free time, and it was what it was.
Couple of quick things I watched, based on your recommendation, Joseph, Late Night with the Devil.
Oh, you did get to see it?
I did, awesome. Yeah. I liked it a lot. I liked most of it. I thought the ending, I won't spoil anything. I thought the ending went from a classical horror film to like the Twilight Zone. And yeah, so I did like the movie. I thought the style was great. It did an excellent job capturing the 1970s feel. I would highly recommend it. But again, the ending I was a little disappointed in, but it didn't ruin the movie for me. I thought it was a solid movie. I did watch Anyone But You with Sydney Sweeney and Glenn Powell. It was bad. I mean, rom-coms nowadays, they're just not doing it. I know Sydney.
They were doing it plenty, I hear.
I know she's the it girl right now, but and she's great. I think she's a great, fantastic actress. But I just don't. I just wouldn't recommend this movie. But I mean, it was a fun watch with my wife, so we had a good time.
Did you by chance finish? I'm sorry, Bob.
Go ahead. No, go ahead, Joe.
I was just wondering if you had finished Reservation Dogs.
I have not. I've just watched season 1. I've been kind of backed up with my shows. I haven't been able to watch a few things.
Yeah, nobody's seen Loudermilk. God damn it! I
I want to watch it. Yeah, I
you got to watch Loudermilk. It's really, really good.
That's on my to-do list to watch Loudermilk. I'm really busy right now with work and stuff, but once that calms down, come summer, I'm going to catch up. Yeah, going to catch all those things. But
oh, yeah, for sure.
Fun show, guys. Great talk. And that's our show, everyone. Listeners, we'd love to hear from you. Hit us up and let us know what you think the best dance scene in a movie is. Most importantly, let us know what you think about the show. You may reach us at formidableopponents@gmail.com and follow us on all forms of social media by searching for Formidable Opponents. We want to thank Creative Little Pill for her great artwork. Please follow her on Instagram at Creative Little Pill. Please subscribe, rate, and review us on any podcast platform you're listening to us on. And join us next episode. We'll be back with Best Beatles Solo Song. So for Bob and Joseph, this is Randall. We'll see you all next week.
One tampo.